I have decided to platinum one RPG game of each franchise, at least the franchises I can get my hands on. And the first game on that list is Star Ocean. The second story R, which the R stands for remake, obviously. Star Ocean games haven't really been on my radar. This may sound a little crazy, but my favorite Star Ocean game so far is The Last Hope, which came out for the PlayStation 3. That game feels a lot huger than this one, because unlike in Last Hope, in this game you're pretty much stuck on one planet. And with that we can get into the story right away. You can pick from two characters, and you will need to beat the story as both characters to obtain the Platinum trophy, which means we'll need to play through the game twice. I decided to start as Claude, who is on a space expedition with his dad. And they end up investigating some kind of phenomenon, and because of that Claude ends up on a different planet.
What? No! What happened?
From here on, he sets his goal right away. He is trying to get back to his dad and pretty much to his normal life. He bumps into Reina pretty early on, who is just minding her own business in this forest. Reina is the other character we can select when we start the game. To not go too much into spoilers, she has some healing abilities which no one else has on this planet. So Reina finds out pretty early on in her life that she's adopted, kinda? So Reina joins Claude to find out about her past. And for Claude, well, this planet has a legend that a hero of light is going to appear and save them. I'm not sure where this legend came from, because these people didn't need any saving before the sorcery globe has appeared. And yeah, the sorcery globe for the most part is a plot device just to make monsters appear and make some normal people evil. There are villains in the game, but they are introduced a lot later. And I think that's the biggest problem, because the 10 wise men don't really get a lot of character development. They just appear and they are just evil. They want to destroy the whole universe because they can. There are a lot of story-related trophies in this game, so most of the trophies you're going to get just by playing through the game naturally. So let's talk about the easy trophies, one of which you get for upgrading one of your combat skills. There are two trophies for taking a certain amount of steps in the game, one of which is for taking 8,000 steps, the other one is for taking 40,000 steps. The next one you get for examining a unique spot. You don't need to find all of these, it doesn't matter which one you find, it will give you the trophy, but you should find as much as you can, because these spots give you experience and some unique items. You don't need to use the art skill for this trophy, it doesn't matter what you use to make an item. But yeah, as you see, I got this one after I was fooling around with some of the skills. There is obviously a fishing minigame. You don't need to catch all of the fish in this game. It is enough to get 15 different types, which gives you a unique rod that makes the fishing easier, but there isn't really a point to catch anymore. And lastly, let's talk about some combat related trophies. One of them you get for using the D-pad to summon some of the characters into battle, and the other is to enter the rage mechanic, which gives you a buff after one of the characters dies. There are accessories that make this status effect more common, but you don't really need to worry about this because you're going to get this naturally. So let's talk about character recruitment. Obviously you will need to recruit all of the characters because every character has its own trophy. The first one you can recruit is Celine, that you meet as you progress in the story. You accept her quest, and once you finish it, you can ask her to join the party. The next one I recruited is Ashton. And here's the deal. If you recruit Ashton, you won't be able to recruit Opera. Not that this really matters, because we are going to recruit Opera in the next playthrough. Once you talk to the NPCs you saw before, a quest marker will lead you to a cave where Ashton is fighting a dragon. Once you finish this fight, you can ask Ashton to join your party. As you recruit characters, you are supposed to interact with them in these private actions, or PAs for short, because that will improve your affection with these characters. It is important to do this to get different types of endings for the game. Anyway, the next character I bumped into was Welch after the tournament in Lone Sander City. Once you meet her, you can't really not recruit her because she just forces herself into the party. The thing is, you also get affection points after beating bosses and recruiting characters, so another trophy popped for maxing this out with one of the characters. During these private actions, one of the quests required me to pickpocket some NPCs. You need to pickpocket a certain amount of times successfully and you'll obtain this trophy. You do need to keep in mind that your characters will lose the affection points if you pickpocket. You meet the next two characters in Linga, and you can again choose if you're going to recruit Persis or Bowman. So this is pretty much the same situation as before. If you recruit one of the characters, you won't be able to recruit the other one. Claude and Lena have unique characters that only they can obtain on their playthroughs. The good thing is, these characters are not missable. You will need just to ask them to join you once the opportunity arises. And that's how Leon joined our party. You do need to keep in mind that you can only have 8 characters in your party. And the last character I decided to recruit was Noel, who you can get very easily just by progressing the story. And with that, I obtained the trophy for recruiting him and having a party of 8 characters. This super duper trophy I got for unlocking the group appraising skill. The fastest way to get all of these skills is to unlock the train skill, not the choo-choo train, but the training train. Allow you to get a lot more experience points than you normally would get. The next one I got is for guessing these bunny races right. You need to guess the first and the second place right, and then you'll get the trophy for this minigame that's located in Fun City. To unlock the 5-star chef trophy, you'll need to beat all 7 cooks in the Fun City cooking minigame. The first 6 are randomized, but can save before you go into the cooking battle, and after reaching to the end, once you defeated the final cook here, you'll be awarded a trophy. This minigame is a little bit annoying because you'll have to hit the recipes right. There is like a certain beat to it. It's hard to get used to it. The next trophy I got for failing to call the bunnies. I think you need to fail 10 times and you'll get this trophy, so this one isn't super special. And this one you'll get for completing quests. You don't need to worry about this one too much. Even if you don't go out of your way to focus on these quests, you'll complete them in no time. This trophy you can only obtain by unlocking the bodyguard skill. After enabling it, your characters run out to intercept these enemies, and if you run into these enemies, it will guarantee a back attack. With that said, there wasn't anything else I could do at this point, so I just finished Claude's story and got a trophy. To be fair, we can make the single playthrough a lot easier, because if we start New Game Plus, we keep all our weapons and accessories, also our items. As I progressed the story, I made sure to bump into Ernest while I was on the way to the king.
I'm sorry.
It is important to start the quest that gets us Opera. And after we are done with the tournament, we return to the Hilton bar, where we meet up with Opera. Return to the king's castle and speak to him, and he will let you to this dungeon where you bump into Opera. This is your chance to recruit her, obviously. But we are not done with her quest just yet, because she is the one who is searching for her boyfriend, who is Ernest. At the end of this dungeon, we can find this creepy room. It is important that we trigger this scene, and after we return to the forest where Claude landed, and we trigger this scene, which sets up the quest to recruit Ernest later on. We advance the story further and pick up Bowman on the way. Finally, we bump into a possessed Ernest that we can dispose of pretty easily. Once we win this battle, we can ask Ernest and Oprah to join us, which gives us a trophy. Diaz is the unique character that is tied to Rena, so we can only obtain Diaz when we are playing through Rena's storyline. And we have only one more character missing, who we can bump into pretty easily near the end of the game. And once again, as we progress the story, we find her in the same cave where we recruited Noah. She drops something and you'll have to make sure to pick it up. Once you finish this dungeon, I did pick up Noah once again, so I have a party of 8 people. I return to the city where I met her. She is marked with the quest marker, so you return this pendant to her or whatever she dropped, and she joins her party. With not much else to do, I finished the game as Rena, which gave me another trophy, and the 7 colored voices, which you can obtain by beating the game with different characters. So it is recommended that you pick up different characters on different playthroughs. And I know I haven't really talked about Star Ocean's combat, but what you see is what you get. You can equip some unique attacks for each of the characters that you recruit, but some attacks are obviously more overpowered than others. So I just stick to the overpowered attacks once I unlocked them. After I was done recruiting all the characters, it was time for the endgame. Obviously, every RPG game needs a final challenging dungeon. And on the gameplay you see the final boss of this dungeon that you have to beat. It is this angel looking thing. And I wasn't really able to beat her on the normal difficulty. This was the time where I decided to lower the difficulty, because I was doing also some grinding in this final dungeon to unlock another trophy. To be fair, you don't need to lower the difficulty if you have a maxed out character and if you beat all the raid battles that give you some powerful equipment. But obviously I wasn't prepared for this fight and it completely caught me off guard. I came up with a pretty cheesy strategy. As you can see, Noel and Rena were pretty much just healing me, trying their best to keep Claude alive for the fight. And even with Claude I used this attack that healed me up when I was casting it. Pretty much there wasn't a way for me to die here, and once I realized that I had some items that bring me back right away, even if this boss takes my health down to 0, it was pretty easy to take her down. Also, before I started the fight, I equipped all the accessories and everything that gave me some extra defense. So yeah, the basic idea is that I made tank build for everyone and they just healed if I got any kind of damage. With a bit of practice I was able to take this boss down. And after that I did a little bit of grinding to unlock the trophy for maxing out all the specialty skills. And at this point only one more endgame challenge was remaining, so I was trying to trigger that quest and beat the final boss of the game once again, which unlocked the trophy for seeing 15 different endings.
Good morning, DS.
But there is one more trophy related to this angel boss fight, and as I said, the boss fight was a lot easier after I did the raid fights. So what happens after you beat the game? You get stronger versions of each of the 10 wise men, and you can actually use their attacks and summon them in battle, which makes every fight a lot easier because one of the wise men can cast this wind attack that pretty much dazes every boss in the game for a few seconds, but that's pretty much 3 hits on any boss in the game. And here I thought all I needed to do was to defeat the raid versions of these 10 wise men, but after I defeated the last one, I was very confused that I didn't get a trophy. And for some reason, after I beat the game, I wasn't able to trigger this scene with this NPC that starts the quest line that you need for these last 2 trophies. So pretty much what happens after you beat the game, this NPC appears and she is asking you to kill her. The only way I was able to access this quest was to reload my save file before I started New Game Plus. For whatever reason, this questline wasn't available for me in New Game Plus. I did trigger it before I started New Game Plus, and I also got the accessory from her, but for whatever reason, whatever I did on my New Game Plus save file, the stronger version of the final boss fight didn't start. So normally what he does is he summons an angel after you take his health bar down. So you would think that he would be stronger like that, but that's not the case. And as you see, I'm also using the other party members that I recruited on my previous playthrough. So I did need to finish the final dungeon once again so I can grind them up around level 200 to stand any chance against this boss. This fight is another difficulty spike. Even on the easy difficulty, he has an attack if you get close to him, wipes out everybody. It's not an instant kill move, it just does ridiculous damage. And he also likes to spam the most powerful AoE magic in the game. So I came up with a strategy that's again a little cheesy, and yes, once again I did need to lower the difficulty to easy. And instead of equipping the healing attack, this time I equipped Claude with this laser attack so he could attack this boss from range, which never triggered the attack that surrounds him with that powerful magic. Also, whenever the fight started, I used an item on Rena, which gave her some additional defense against magic attacks. Rena was once again our main healer for this fight. Noel also healed us whenever he got the chance, and Leon is the best mage in the game, so he was perfect to do some additional damage if he managed to survive any of the hits this boss dishes out. I know this strategy is very cheesy, but once I beat this boss, I obtained the trophy. But I'm sure you're wondering, what is the intended strategy to beat this fight? And as you see, we need to fight the 10 wise men once again in Fun City, which has these challenge fights, and you can only unlock this fight once you beat the stronger version of the final boss. Again, I used the same strategy against him here. He seems to be weaker for some reason, but it did work. So that's not really too important, I guess. So once again, how are you supposed to beat this boss if he can one-shot you at any point, even on the easy difficulty? Well, actually, there is an item in the game that takes your HP down to 1 and makes you take no damage for the rest of the fight. So this item makes it that you can't lose any of the battles. So I would say the whole endgame of this game is pretty much pointless just because of this item. If you can pop it at any time to take no damage, what's the point of having any challenging fights for the endgame? So after I figured out that it had this flawed design, I didn't really feel bad taking down the difficulty to easy to deal with these bosses, because you either cheese it one way or you cheese it in a different way. And there isn't really anything else I need to talk about. After I beat this one final challenge, I got a trophy for that and the platinum trophy for Star Ocean, a second story ore. I know this episode is probably shorter than the rest, and if you made it this far, check out these other platinum hunts that I did for Euden Chronicles 100 Heroes and this mysterious challenge video. I would appreciate if you liked the video and leave a comment for me what you thought about this platinum journey.